Okay, so our primer coat is now dry. We're going to start now putting on the Epoxy-Seal concrete garage floor paint. This paint is a single part epoxy that goes down over our prep surface. We've showed that up to this point. We're going to be using a 3-inch cut-in brush to do our borders, and then we're going to use our standard roller 1/4 inch on this surface because it's not too rough. The directions call for thin coat first, and then come back 4 to 6 hours later and do another coat. And when we put that next coat on is when we put the paint flakes in. So we're going to go ahead and get our light coat done, and then we will probably wait until this evening once the 4 to 6 hours has passed, and finish this section up tonight. Now once we get the paint flakes down, and that has time to cure, I think it's 4 to 5 days. Once it's all cured, we'll come back and we'll put one more coating down, which will be a top coat sealer clear coat. So it's just a protectant layer. But right now we're going to start doing the floor paint, and then we'll shoot a little bit of video of that. One thing you want to make sure of if you don't have a paint mixer, which I do not, is you want to make sure that you stir your material up very good. When you first open this, it'll look like paint, but when you pull the stick out, you'll see it's very thick. So it's just like any other paint or any other type of coating. You want to make sure that it is mixed up very well before you start using it. So we're going to do that, and then we'll start putting it down. Alright, so we took our 3-inch brush and we cut in around all of our equipment with a light coat. We're going to now come back in and we're going to start rolling on a thin coat of the paint. So this part of the application is to get a thin coat on, rolling in one direction, and then this will allow you to come back on a coat later, your final coat, and finish rolling it in the other direction. So what you're looking to do here is you'll start seeing little cracks, or not little cracks, but you'll start seeing little imperfections in the concrete. This is a good time to start working on filling those in. I'm also taking the opportunity here to make sure that I roll in where my brush strokes were along the wall. Fill that in. And you're not so particularly worried about perfect coverage at this point. You're just putting a thin layer down. Again, you want to work so that you're not painting yourself into a corner. And as you can see, I'm going with a solid white here, and I've mentioned this before on my floor, because so much of my shop floor is going to be covered with equipment. I wanted to take advantage of the lighting reflectivity that's offered with the white. Most of you guys will probably use a gray color, and I considered that. But after weighing everything out and looking at my floor and what I want to be doing, I decided to go with the white color. Again, just looking to get a thin coat right now. I fully intend to put on 2 coats here, per the instructions. Again, you can see some of the little areas where there's holes, so I just take the edge of my roller and push down and make sure I push paint into those areas. In just this little bit, I can already see a huge difference in my light. You want to make sure that you're crossing over your previous tracks so that you're getting good coverage. Even though you're putting on a thin coat at this point, you're looking to get the best coverage you can on that first pass. I still got some areas where I can see some brush strokes, so I want to try to roll that out. I don't want to have that visible in my finish coat. All right, so we'll keep painting this. We'll come back when we get her done. Okay, wow. We've got our first coat on. It is a little thin looking, and can definitely see where we may have to go a little bit thicker on the next coat, obviously, because we are going with white over that dark floor, so I can see through it. If this was a gray pigment, probably would not have as much issue getting coverage. So I've used about 3/4 of a gallon of floor paint for this area. So again, it's about 250 square feet. So this product says it'll cover 300 to 500 square feet per gallon, and that's pretty much holding true for this one coat. Now, I'm going to go ahead and pick up a 2nd gallon of material and have it on hand so that when I do that coverage this afternoon, I'll be able to get it on there as thick as I want it to be and be able to let it be thick enough to put the paint flakes in. I can see a huge difference in the lighting already just with this light coat. So I'm real excited about getting this in. I know white seems kind of extreme for a shop, but the reality is that once everything's in here, there will be hardly any of this visible once everything's set up. So this has got to cure for 4 to 6 hours before I put the next coat on. Really kind of pushing it today on my temperature. My humidity is about 41% today, and we did just get to 90 degrees outside. Now inside my shop, it's not quite that hot. I do have good air circulation going in here, so I'm definitely in the high 80s in temperature though, but I do have a good low humidity. So I'm hoping to not have any issues with this. It looks like it went down good. It felt like it was sticking really well. You know, the time will tell as far as how well it dries and bonds. But it really does feel good. The primer felt really good. It was, I could tell it was really sticking good. And it had a real good surface on it for the paint. So again, the paint didn't go quite as far as I thought it would. I'm gonna go ahead and pick up another gallon, and the fact that I am putting white down over this dark floor, you know, maybe make some of the coverage issues that I'm seeing as far as, you know, thinner in some areas and darker in others. But when I put that 2nd coat on, I'll make sure to put it on thick so that it has a chance to finish covering all this. So we're gonna let this cure out now, and once this cures out, we will get the next coat started and put our paint flakes down, and then that'll have to cure for a while before we put the seal coat on. Okay, it's been about 5 hours since we did the floor here, and everything is nice and dry. We've got good low humidity today. We're actually at 24% humidity. I thought we were a little higher than that. I thought we were more like 40, but after checking some more, I noticed everything was drying really fast, so I looked and we're actually running 24% humidity. But I still gave the flooring the time that it needed to dry. on the first coat of Epoxy-Seal concrete and garage floor paint. So what we're going to do now is we're going to start applying the second coat. We'll cut everything back in again just to make sure we've got a good coat up against the wall. And then as I start putting the flooring down and working my way back from the wall, then I'll start putting in the Valspar color flakes. I went with a black, gray, and white color flake on this white floor. Should look pretty good. All right, we'll get into it, see how it looks. All right, so we're putting on the final layer. We're definitely putting it on a little thicker this time. We're making sure that we got good coverage. Working to make sure that I keep the roller wet enough that I don't really have to put a lot of down pressure on it, so that we're getting a good saturated coverage. Keeping the roller good and wet. And I'll lay it out on the floor, and then I'll work it in and make sure I get a good overlap. And then we'll just keep doing that, and in a minute we'll be far enough back, we'll put some paint flakes in it. I don't want to let the paint get too dry, or the flakes won't stick like they're supposed to. So now what we're going to do is we're going to start putting on the paint flakes. I'm just going to spread those out by hand. I want to have a pretty good little coverage area, and try to make sure that I don't get them in the area I haven't painted yet, so I'll stay right close to where I'm at. But I want to make sure that I just get them in my hand, get a handful, get them like that, and just throw them out. Trying to make sure that I don't get too far. Once you get these in, you come back afterwards and you can actually sweep up the ones that don't stick before you put your clear coat on. You're not trying to be too dramatic, but you want to make sure, like that one, I should have thrown them up in the air a little more. You want to let them free fall like that. The trick's being consistent as you go. Again, try to stay out of your areas you haven't painted yet. All right. Now we'll just keep going. Okay, so here we are. We've got our second coat down now. We've got all of our paint flakes in. You can actually see, we can get in here a little tighter. There you go. You guys can kind of see that. Did the gray and black and white flecks in there. And what I'll do once this all finishes drying, we'll get in here and we'll actually sweep this thing down again to see if we can get loose paint chips up. So everything turned out really well. We got good coverage on everything. I think the mix of the flakes is good. Everything turned out like I wanted it to. So now this equals about 1/4 of my shop. Well, 1/6 of my shop actually. So Still got quite a bit to go, but this will let me get started on doing the actual fit out of this corner, get the equipment over here that I want to have over here, which is going to free up other parts of the floor to be able to do work. Anyway, that's a wrap for now. We'll get this online and then we'll go from there. Have a good day. This is Mike Ray with Practical Metal. Thank you.